Now, this is the 7th homicide in the city of Buffalo so far this year. Bader, just 12 years old, the youngest person to lose his life. Now, that number has political and religious leaders trying to dig deep, looking at ways that we can stop this senseless violence. Madison, you've been working on this side of the story today.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said, Ashley, senseless. That's what every single person I spoke with today said. And honestly, a lot of these religious leaders, they already had events in the works to address the violence, the killing of women, the killing of children in our community. This was even before Bader was killed. But you know what? I had to ask them when I spoke with them today, what is something tangible that we can actually do to stop this violence? This is what they had to say.
Darius Pridgeon says the violence won't stop until the community starts to see what's happening as a crisis, not just another day to cry.
Because I'm burying more and more children and women and seeing more children than ever in my time here in Buffalo.
For almost 25 years, Fadri Ansari has been putting on an event called Putting the Neighbor Back in the Hood. He says the violence often starts in the home.
I think people sometimes become killers because their spirit is killed at home.
But it's now spilling into the streets, says Pastor James Giles, a community anti-violence advocate.
This is an element that's part of our community that are consistently have access to guns, access to weapons, and want to solve their issues that they have with each other.
You know, it could be over anger, it could be over jealousy, a lot of people just not being judging one another, not being on their peace and comfortable with themselves.
So what will it take to stop? First, leaders say the schools need to step up.
There are very few people who are arrested for committing homicides who have master's degrees.
Next, they want to see the community step in.
Cooperation is so crucial because the police can't do all of this by themselves.
And they say there needs to be a way for young people to step away from guns.
Constructive recreational programs, because there's a huge lack of recreational programs to divert all this massive energy that young boys have.
As I mentioned, some of those events that were already in the work. Pastor Giles is having an event on the 20th of this month, I believe, and that's going to be with families of homicide victims to honor them, to let them know people are still thinking about them. Bishop Pridgeon's Easter celebration, he has one of these every year. This is going to be at Klein Hands, and that's going to be on how to keep our kids alive. And then that event I mentioned, putting the neighbor back in the hood, is going to be later this August. All these events just working on how to do this, how to stop the violence.
Getting them to step in,
yes.
Getting the community involved. Madison, thank you. And of course, the